Hello everybody, welcome to this video. We are here in Oslo today. It's a very cold, freezing day, but very sunny. It's a beautiful Saturday. It's the 2nd of February in 2013. And I'm sitting here together with Trine Eklund. Trine Eklund has been active in the peace movement in Norway since 1980. And she has explained her experience in 2 other videos. And you can find one video where she speaks about the Nordic women's marches in the 80s and where she explains what this book is about. And then we have another video where she explains the background of the Norwegian peace movement. But today we are sitting together here because I would like to ask Trine, after 33 years of experience in the peace movement, what would be her advice, her insights, the lessons she thinks in the future should be heeded. But first, before I ask you that, I would like to thank you, Trine, because you are not only active in the peace movement, you are really in your life manifesting peace work. Also that you welcomed me into your home for a week so that we could be together and I could learn from you directly by being with you. This was absolutely a wonderful privilege and I don't know how to thank you. So this is peace work in practice, in daily work. So, dear Trine, if you could explain to everybody what we discussed it a little bit already, what would be your most important insights to give to the future?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for your introduction of me. And it has, of course, been a great privilege to have you here, to host you. I learned so much from you, and you have introduced me to so many interesting people. So that has really been a great pleasure. Well, you asked me about what we should promote now. And I think to promote peace culture. What is peace culture? And UNESCO has had this project for quite a long time. They have also put up on a paper what is peace culture. It is quite different for what we have today, this man's culture, this violence culture, this culture for war. And of course, that all this is man-made. So we can change if we want. We can change from this violence and war culture where weapons and destruction are included, this rather negative way of shall we say, living, into a peace culture where we solve our conflicts non-violently, without violence. There are structures, there are strategies, there are projects for alternatives and for non-violence. But why don't we use them? Why don't we use this peace culture attitude? We try to, and the politicians, they say they want to, but at the same time they go to war. And this is, it does not make sense. If you say yes to peace, you cannot also at the same time go to war. It is absolutely a double standard, and the politicians are so full of double standards. They say something and they do something else. And I think we have to visualize that politicians, they have to start to do what they promise, because they don't. As soon as they come into parliament, as soon as they get a suit and tie on, they turn to be different persons. And I think we have to visualize this, that the politicians, they have to start to dare to promote peace, because they say yes to war so easily.
Yes, and you made a very important remark, something that resonates with my experience. My experience says that people who really know war, like war with veterans, also very many who are high in the military, they understand this point almost better than some politicians. Is this your experience too?
Yes, it definitely is, because they have experienced what war is. And you see so many of the soldiers, they really get so depressed. They nearly commit suicide, many of them, because they cannot cope with what they have been forced to do. Kill other people, kill children and women, and elderly people, handicapped people, whatever. Some of them cope with it because they don't have any empathy. But many boys today, and they are quite young ones, you know, they are 19, 20, in the 20s, they don't manage to cope with what they have done and what they have been forced to do and what they actually have done. But these people have been hiding. They have to be hidden by the military and by nations, by the mainstream. Because if they are coming forward, telling what they have experienced, is too dangerous for this war culture that we have everywhere in the world today. Also here in Norway, I mean, we are a member of NATO, and we are the best pupil in the class, so we easily go to war, quite easily. We go to war.
And I remember when you say that we also, I then asked you when we were discussing before what you would say about women and men, because you have been active in the women's movement also. And I remember something you told me, how you were so shocked when you were in Palestine and you were at the checkpoints, how young women who are in the military of Israel sometimes are somehow harder and have less empathy or show less empathy than their male colleagues. So as if this kind of military culture, when women opt for it, they even sometimes can be
worse than men.
Yeah,
definitely. And we experience not only in Palestine, we experience that here in Norway. They can be much tougher. It seems that they have to be be accepted by the men, by the boys.
Right.
So yeah, it was. I mean, men often are coming to us to discuss with us, and they can say, "I like that you tell us your meaning, your opinion." Women hardly do. They don't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I think they are scared to know, and I think they want to be tougher than they actually are, or maybe they feel they have to be more tough than they are, or maybe they also are tough and want to be like men, and then they don't need our opinions, of course.
Right.
So, and our experience from Palestine, and I think also in the military life, they will see quite often that women are much tougher, but you see that everywhere. I mean, a minister, female minister, she can be much more tough, much harder, much more. It seems that women have to show that they have a self-esteem, that they can, that they know. So, but
even in Norway, where everybody thinks that women have reached the peak of what
we have for quite a long time. We have had ministers for the defense department. They are tougher than the men, especially some of them. It's just that you cannot believe it, simply.
So this connects to what we were discussing about your attempts. It was many years ago to bring the work conferences that about women or with women in the United Nations system. You wanted to promote the same for men, and you didn't succeed, you said.
No, in 1993, and for some years then, we had a group from Sweden and a group from Norway, men and women. We looked at the men's role, and we called our project the the role of men in change, that actually the role of men, or the masculine role, should be changed, should try to change itself, like women did in the 70s and 80s. We had so many United Nations international women's conferences. I think it was 5, actually, every 50 years. Why don't they do something like that also for men in the United Nations system? To simply to discuss the role many men are opposed to do. They are educated for being tough and hard, not to cry, you know, and they shouldn't take care of children, and many other things that goes together with the masculine culture. And it's not that men in general stand for this culture, and at least not Norwegian men any longer. We have had a great change in the role or the culture for men, thanks to female politicians, actually. We have forced through, but that's here in the Scandinavian countries, Nordic countries, you hardly see this change anywhere else in the world, and especially not in the Arab countries. Also very much due maybe to the religion, but also because of culture. This honor, this terrible killings of women because of honor. That is, for instance, one thing. They are stuck in this culture, and men are also victims for this culture.
Absolutely.
So if we could open up for a discussion, what does it mean? What is it? Why all this violence? But then men have to do that themselves, and they dare not. They don't do it. And why don't they do it?
Right.
And why don't the United Nations take this? They did it for the females, they did it for women, but they don't do it for men.
You know, you remember you were talking about the peace marches, and you said that what you learned there was the image of the enemy. That this was somehow, as long as this was strong, basically the peace culture couldn't thrive. As long as one had the picture of the enemy, like when you were doing your peace marches in the West and in the East, to talk to the enemy was not something that was seen as peace work. It was seen as betraying your own people. So this seems to be so important, that we somehow create a consciousness that we are one family on one globe and not we against them.
Yeah, of course, the enemy picture is is something. We shouldn't be enemies. We are not enemies. We have different opinions, yes, but that doesn't mean that we're enemies. It's okay to have different opinions, and I think we all will grow with the debates about different cultures, different opinions. That's something that's good for all of us. And why do we look at people with a different culture, different religion as enemies? I mean, it's silly, and it's not true, because when we meet these people, they are not enemies at all.
Right.
They are very mostly, let us say, Palestinians, Israel people, or Israel government, not Jews, but Israel government. They look at the Palestinians as enemies, and the Israelis are not allowed to visit the Palestinians, go into their towns and see them, live together with them. They are not allowed to.
To keep the distance.
They have to keep the distance. They have to look at Palestinians as enemies, and they are not. They are the most friendly people in the world. So nice, so friendly, and they open their homes for you. And that, well, now I use this example, but that goes for so many other things, and especially when it comes to religion. It's dangerous, it's very dangerous. And if we want to have peace, and a friendly cooperation, as you say, within the whole world as a holistic family, then we have to open up for peace culture.
And you told me, I asked you, have you all your life known about this, or, and you said no, you were basically drawn into the peace movement in 1980. And then you also learned, because you had a lot of seminars, for example, about a different kind of communication. You mentioned this giraffe seminars. And
yes.
I didn't know about that. So you seem to have had a kind of education or training in peaceful communication.
Oh yes, we do a lot, and there are many, many methods for this. And of course it is to, first of all, the basic for all this communication is to listen. To listen to what your enemy or what the other person is saying. That is also that you see quite many people, they don't listen at all. They only are thinking what I'm going to say, what I'm going to say in the discussion, what I'm going to answer, but they don't take time to listen to what the person is saying, and they don't even listen to the questions. So they answer something else than you are asking for, and I think that's very, very common actually. But you have to listen to have a dialogue. You have to listen to the person and then answer what the person is asking about. Going into the discussion, not only on the surface, but going into the discussion to find the roots for why don't we agree, or what are the differences. And then I'm sure we can find out that we want the same things. It's only that we express ourselves in different ways, we have different experiences, we have different culture, we have been educated in different ways. So, but if we really want to go further to stop this violence, then you have to listen. And that is basic for all the communication that we teach each other.
Yes. So for everybody who is young now and who wants to work for peace on this planet and a sustainable future for everybody, of course it's the peace between people, but also the peace between us, the people, and the planet. Mm-hmm. So it's ecological sustainability and social sustainability. So what is your message? Your final, not final, but for this video final.
Yeah, what we in the peace movement can do is first of all to promote, as I said in the beginning, peace culture and non-violence strategy, and use Mahatma Gandhi as an example, together with Martin Luther King and Mandela. Those are the three main persons, but there are so many, many, many others that have succeeded in their effort to get peace between people, and so there are many, many other people that we very well could use as examples and listen to. What have they done? We have ministers here in Norway that have done a wonderful work between nations. So, and many, many others have done that as well. What kind of work, how do they do this mingling? What do you call
mediation.
Mediation.
Mm-hmm.
What are the basic for this mediation that we can learn from? And then we should also look at masculine culture. Why all this violence from the masculine culture? Why is it so important for them to show that they are stronger, that they need to be right in all the discussions, that they have this confrontation policy? What is it? Why is that? It seems to be in the masculine culture, not so much in the female culture.
But as you said, it's not women and men.
It's not men and women.
Women go in there.
No, it's not. I don't prefer not to use men and women.
Right.
I prefer to use feminine and masculine.
Right.
Feminine culture, masculine culture.
Right.
Because we all have a little bit of each.
Yeah.
We all have masculine and feminine aspects inside us. But the question is more, what are we educated for? Which values are promoted? So therefore, we don't talk about men and women. We talk about masculinity and femininity. And masculine culture, feminine culture. Because then you don't need to hurt anybody. Right. Or humiliate anybody.
Right.
So, and that is important, of course, not to humiliate. That is also something that is within the communication that we learn. Yeah. Be aware of words you use so you don't humiliate the other person. So that's very important, both when you write and when you speak.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main issues I will put forward. That is peace culture, non-violence, communication.
And listening to the elders like you.
We have a little bit of experience, you know.
Yes.
So you asked me, no, before 1980s I was not interested. I didn't see it. I didn't notice it. It had lasted here in Norway already for 18 years, from 62 at least, maybe even before that. But it was...
Not touching you?
No, not touching me. I was having other interests. I was living another life in some way. But when you get into this, when you get into these networks, you find that so many other networks, they are very superficial. Very superficial, talking about children and food. That is, and all the trips they have done, all the journeys they have done to other countries and so on. They're never talking about the culture where they are, which they are coming to, who they are meeting. Only that it was a nice journey, and it was. Yeah.
It's using the planet to as a backdrop for leisure activities.
Yes, for pleasure. That is. So you get a little bored about always talking about food and grandchildren and cars and houses and it's not the values that I go for.
Right. So shall we thank everybody for watching?
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
And please, if you have time, you can also watch the other 2 videos that we have made, and where you narrate, you give an account of your experiences in more depth. And then there are other people in the network, in your networks, that we might want to invite to make similar dialogues, perhaps.
Yes, of course, the leader of the Norwegian Peace Council, Hedda, she has a lot of thoughts about this, and she's very, very clever to express herself. And we have Alexander Harang. He.
But I mean now the elders.
The elders. The elders. Yeah, or there are. You have many.
Yeah. So perhaps we can encourage everybody to make similar.
Ingeborg Breines, for instance, she knows. She's really the one that knows about peace culture.
So Ingeborg, we need to make another video like that.
And you know, Ingeborg, she has been a leader of the UNESCO.
Yes.
And she was one of them that wrote down this peace culture.
Yes. So welcome to everybody, making dialogues so that we can learn from the wisdom of our elders.
And then, of course, in one of the videos that we have made, don't express myself very well because it was all taken down in during the same session. But I use words. For instance, I say peace organization instead of peace nation.
Yeah, everybody understands. When
yeah,
you don't speak
so.
English every day, so everybody will understand when they look at the other videos. Yeah. That not every word, since you translate in your head from Norwegian into English,
Yeah.
So this is always an effort, yeah. so they will understand that some words are perhaps not the correct words in English. So thank you very much for watching, and please be encouraged to make similar short videos about experiences and wisdom to bring further. Thank you.